Yeah, and you brought it up. He needs to perform over these next couple of games. Let's kind of transition into looking at the upcoming schedule. Because the Ravens are expecting Lamar to be out 1 to 3 weeks. That's kind of the reports that have been going around. He's week to week with a PCL strain.
Yep.
We've got Pittsburgh this week, at Cleveland versus the Falcons. Let's assume Lamar misses all 3 of those weeks. All right. So let's assume Tyler Huntley plays in all of them. Let's start with the Steelers. What does Tyler Huntley need to do against the Steelers? Because he's played against them twice now. Or no, he's played against them once, I think, as a starting quarterback. But he's played against him. He knows it's physical. But at the same time, this is no longer the Big Ben. Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the Kenny Pickett Steelers. Yeah. So the offense is not as explosive. The offensive line isn't as good. They don't put up a ton of points. Kind of similar to the Broncos. They're a little bit better than the Broncos offensively. Kind of similar to them defensively, though. Maybe worse corners. The problem is the Ravens wide receivers couldn't get open against open against JUCO corners. Honestly, Dion would have them boys.
Oh, don't do it.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Don't do it.
I do know Dion actually got the #1 JUCO corner transferred to UC Boulder. So shout out to Dion. He's 6'3", runs like a crazy 40, and it's like, oh great. I'm a Stanford fan. We got to play Colorado. I'm rooting for you, Dion, but Greg Roman versus Deion Sanders. I don't know how that's going to work out.
Gregory Roman is coming to save the day. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, who cares what corners they got? He'll run the ball.
I got EJ Jr. So hey,
that's true. The only way to beat an NFL legend is the son of an NFL legend.
But then again, he will have his son with him too.
Yeah. Does Greg Roman have a son? Could play offensive line.
He probably played in the high school they was coaching at.
Nah. Greg Roman's son would be a fullback.
He would be a running back.
He's a wide receiver, but he's 6'4", 340.
He'll be a big bruising Mike Allstott with the neck. It's yeah, man, I'm gonna coach you, son. Make sure you eat your steak and potatoes. I'm gonna get you right. Drink these 3 egg yolks a day. Hey, I'm gonna get you big as hell, and I'm gonna run this wing team, and we're gonna see. I'm gonna get you all the way to the league, baby. Trust me. I'm gonna still be coaching.
That would be how it goes.
But maybe this is me being too much of a homer. Maybe me being a little bit biased as a Ravens fan. I kind of see us going 2-1 for these next 3 weeks. I do feel like we can win these rivalry games. The only thing is Snoop handling the defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Because in my opinion, and TTB family, Ravens Flock, y'all can fuss me out, cuss me out. I feel like the Steelers have some of the best athletes on all 3 levels on the defensive side of the ball. When it comes to that defensive line, they have arguably the best defensive end in the NFL. I feel like Devin Bush is also in the conversation as he will be a great middle linebacker in this league. And you have another great safety in Pittsburgh in Minkah Fitzpatrick. So it's one thing, being a Ravens fan, but it's another thing being a fan of the game of football. And if you can't be real and say, hey, they got some dogs over there, then that's a problem. But I know one thing too, that, yes, our offensive line maybe, it's starting to hurt a little bit. Ronnie Stanley he hasn't practiced, and I think his name was Cooper. Cooper, the outside linebacker for the Denver Broncos, man. He hurt my heart, McConnell. He was working the hell out of Daniel Falele and Morgan Moses, man. I mean, if Morgan Moses just would have held them up just a little longer, maybe Lamar wouldn't have gone down the way he gone down. But, that happens in the game of football. It's a gladiator sport. It is what it is. But those guys had to sustain blocks and had to get to the next level in order to keep Tyler Huntley clean. So they have to run an efficient running game, and they got to that passing. It has to be some type of creativity, whether it's deep and dunk, slants, whatever the case may be. Those wide receivers have to create separation. They got to get up the field, and Tyler got to hit them. He got to hit them. If he hits them and gets them going in transition, I feel like we can get touchdowns. We can get scores against this defense.
Yeah, and these 3 games, the benefit is they are winnable. Last year there were some tough matchups that we probably needed him to win, but he ended up not being able to. Close losses to like the Packers, to the Rams. I think he might have played the Bengals. I can't remember if he did. But those were games where it was like, okay, would love to win. If they don't pull it out, it's fine. These 3 teams are very winnable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest thing is when you're a backup quarterback in a winnable game against a team that you are maybe expected to beat. I apologize for my face looking so weird. I'm holding back the biggest cough. Darn it, that made me laugh. Darn it.
Oh God. I'm
losing it. You take it, Josh.
All right. So I mean, pretty much piggybacking off what McConnell said, man. When it comes to those games last year, it was very winnable. I do believe Tyler Huntley, Snoop, he did play against the Bengals, because I believe we did finish out the season against the Bengals, and we're doing it again this year. So I mean, in all those games that we played last year, they were dog fights, of course, but he did enough to keep us in the game. And that's the thing about it. We don't have the wide receivers. The running backs have been ailing like hell. The only person that is a top 10 wide receiver is Mark Andrews right now. And, shout out to Isaiah Likely with coming back into the game and getting us a first down, even though, damn near like his shoulder was knocked out of place. He came back in and showed that heart. Hopefully Charlie Kolar can come in this upcoming week and help be a boost to this offense as well, so we can get Patrick Ricard, our Swiss Army knife, off the field in certain plays, and create some type of dynamic that's going to help us in this long stretch. So I mean, once again, man, we keep on saying it. These next 3 games are winnable, but we do know the Ravens. They do know how to choke. They do know how to make some dumb mistakes, whether it's on offense or defense. We're not saying that Snoop is going to be playing the perfect game, but we need him to play Ravens perfect enough to get us a W.
Yeah, and so I don't know if I ever got to the point that I was trying to make. I totally lost it coughing. Don't turn the football over. I think that's the biggest things in games like these. In games where, when you have a really good defense and you're going up against, they're not playing against any great offenses. Maybe Deshaun Watson and the Browns could be really solid. Deshaun didn't look great in that first game, but they also handled their business pretty convincingly against the Texans. But, we also know how Nick Chubb likes to do the Baltimore Ravens. So, hopefully Roquan Smith can change that narrative. Bulldog on bulldog right there. So, overall, I think the biggest thing for these next few games, turnovers. If the Ravens don't turn the football over on offense, they're going to win, I think, all of these games if they have no turnovers. At the same time, the first 2 games, Steelers and Browns, they forced turnovers. You got, Joshua, you brought it up, Minka, TJ Watt, those 2 guys, interceptions, forced fumbles, all of it. They do it all. Then we've got Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, Denzel Ward.
Greedy. Is Greedy still playing?
I think Greedy, I think he's healthy. I think he's healthy right now.
And I think Delpit came back too.
Yeah, and if Delpit's back, that's another playmaker. So it's like, and the Falcons also have some decent players. I know they have the corner AJ Terrell, who's a really solid player that I really like. I don't know if he's gotten a ton of interception numbers, but he's a really good lockdown corner. There's a lot of players that can make those plays. So if you can reduce that and not have it, it may be low scoring defensive battles, But the Ravens can win that as long as you're not giving them really good field position. And how do you give them really good field position? You do one of two things. One, you turn the ball over. Yeah. Two, you John Harbaugh and you go for it in a situation that you shouldn't go for it in, and all of a sudden they got the ball at your own 40 because you went for it on 4th and 3 or 4th and 1. You ran a QB sneak.